But what system do you use for getting things done? I'll give a quick overview on mine. It's my own mix, but it's not really a system. And this is semantics, but I choose the word framework. And this has become important to me after seeing, people, or there's ideas out there like, okay, you use this one tool, like you have to use Todoist and you have to do it this way. It's like, yeah, okay, that's great. That's somebody's like literal system, but I think that having a framework is much more important because it's flexible. What do you do when you travel? What do you do when you don't have your phone? What do you do in all these situations that happen in real life? So for me, it's my own framework, and it's the daily review is core to this. Okay, I do this whether I'm traveling, whether I'm on a plane, and whatever happens. And it could even be in my head, although that maybe isn't quite as good. But just doing the daily review. What is it that's going on? Review my calendar, review the goals, review my 90-day goals. Actually, I've got it right in front of me. Open the calendar and scan it through. I personally, right now, I'm using Todoist. I scan, I batch, prioritize, delete as needed. And then I'll open my project management software and do the same thing. Scan, get stuff into Todoist and prioritize, and then hop into Best Self Journal and actually do the timing of the day along with the things, like what do I appreciate? What are my big goals, and what are my 3 to-dos? And so that is basically what helps get me done, or helped me get things done. And within that, there's a lot of systems, which I think I'll save for another time, because then that, there's like subsystems. Well, how do you do Todoist? How do you do your project management software? But yeah, what do you do for getting things done?
No. Adam is much more organized than I am, and he has a huge framework, which I'm honestly learning a lot from too. But I'd say that I'm on the side of a lot more things are in my head. I love Todoist. I use Todoist, and I've actually introduced it to my boss and some coworkers at work, and they haven't used it, but that's okay.
Give it time.
Giving it time. System for getting things done. Honestly, I love checking stuff off lists. I love lists. I have a whiteboard at work, and it's got a list of things that I need to do. There's no order to the actual list since it's whiteboard. But with Todoist, you can prioritize, and it's a lot more, organized, prioritized and whatnot. So my framework a lot is, it's been helter-skelter in the past, but I'm working on it. So it's actually a work in progress, but having lists is boring and awesome.
I think what you said earlier too makes, you said Adam's huge framework, and it's interesting because I think as you do this, it's important that you do what works for you. And so like my framework would work for anybody, shameless, pitch here. If you haven't grabbed my guidebook, do it. But it's the framework, and then you can make that as complex or as not as needed. And for Jenny, like she doesn't need project management software because she's not actively managing a team. She certainly works with people, but like throw that out. You don't need it, so don't use it. Todoist, I do need a to-do list. So does Jenny, so she uses it. And so it's adding or subtracting these tools or these bits and pieces from the overall framework, and I think that that's really important. So yeah.
Well, looking at the calendar every day is extremely useful, and I just kind of keep up a calendar on basically every laptop, desktop that I have, which I have several. So, but yeah, I think it's hard for me to have a lot of the structure that Adam has because my day is not quite as structured as his. I work at a national facility, and so I have to do things differently almost every day, which makes it really tough to get some of this framework put together. But I have a Best Self Journal. Adam fills it out every day. I fill it out once every 3 months.
I was about to say, I fill out my Best Self Journal. That sounded like Adam fills out my...
Oh, no. Adam has his own Best Self Journal. And I have one that I fill out probably for like a week in a row for like once every 3 months.
That's good. So. You start the practice and keep coming back. If which I think this is a good example. You try some of these things and some don't work. If you don't, take the best and leave the rest. If it works for you, great. If it doesn't, don't. And I think over time, maybe it will work for you. But
I think so.
If it doesn't, that's fine. There's something else.